The Detroit Lions hosted Shamar Stewart on a top 30 visit yesterday. I have read many comments, news articles, reports, PFF, Yahoo Sports, ESPN. I've read a ton about Shamar Stewart. And of course, I've had amazing conversations the day of the combine with an individual that knows Shamar Stewart extremely well. And that was Mr. Nicky Scorton. I know I've mentioned his name a lot, but there was so much that came out of those conversations. And getting to know these players without even having a conversation with them, and the type of information that you can get from people that are extremely close to these players, right? Their son plays with him. They're good friends. They hang out all the time. So you get to learn some things that you're not going to hear from anyone else, right? You're not going to read it in a story. You're not going to read it from some other, analyst or media outlet. These are things that the team gets to learn. I just happened to be in a good position that day. And you know what? A little bit of luck went my way. But Shamar Stewart, for all of you that have commented, whether it was on my channel, other channels, I've seen it, where you're doubting Shamar Stewart because of his production, in saying that, well, he only had 1.5 sacks. We don't need that kind of a guy. He's no good. Matter of fact, I've been reading the comments so much so that they say that he's a boom or bust type of candidate, prospect in 2025, leaving all of the doubt over Shamar Stewart, and not only his 9.99 RAS score, his freaks list, and amazing qualities as an individual, but also his freakish athletic ability. It can't be denied. It just can't be. But if you think that this guy is a boom or bust, you can say that about anybody. Honestly, you can say it about any player that's coming out of this draft. I think it is a loosely used term in today's NFL, boom or bust. What does that even mean anymore? These guys have to come into a pro quality and pro standard where they're going to learn things very quickly. They're going to be with coaches and teachers, right? Guys that have been around, this stuff for a very, very long time, that are going to be able to impress, upon these young minds and be able to create the style of football player that they want and grab all of the wonderful things that Shamar Stewart's already bringing to the table and make it better. So after watching plenty of tape on many athletes this spring, but especially the LSU game and the Mizzou game, because why? Well, Will Campbell, that's why. Armand Membu, that's why. I wanted to see what Nick Scorton did, what Shamar Stewart did, what anybody else did up against these quote-unquote top-tier offensive linemen. And I will say this, there were plenty of reps where Shamar Stewart got the better of both of those guys. And there were some reps where he didn't do so great, just like every single prospect in this year's draft. Is he perfect? No, nobody is. No prospect is coming into the league in their first season perfect. They're all unrefined. Every single one of them has untapped potential. Is he raw? Yes. And why? Because he's young. He's coming from a defense, in my opinion, that employed a little bit more of a containment theme versus the pass rush and blitz theme. He's also a junior. That's correct. He's a junior. And I've been seeing comments, I might have been on my own channel, where people are saying, well, Shamar's played 4 seasons, only had 1.5 sacks. The dude's trash. Well, hello, he hasn't played 4 seasons with Texas. He's a junior. He's played 3 seasons. So stats do matter. Facts matter even more. If you want to have an argument, that's okay. If you want to have a disagreement, we can do that. All I request is let's look at the facts, right? Let's not just make up random stories here, because that just doesn't make people look very intelligent, in my opinion. You can say that, like Todd McShay said, he's disruptive, not productive. I think that is a great way to describe Shamar Stewart to a degree, sack-wise. He's absolutely productive. But do the Lions need a mass production of sacks out of Shamar Stewart in 2025 if they happen to draft him? Or do they need a guy on this defensive line that can be unselfish and force the offense to do what they don't want to do? Force the ball to the other side, which, by the way, you have players like Aiden Hutchinson, eventually Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, and others waiting to get their crack at whoever Shamar is forcing the other way. So it's not so much about production from sack perspective. You have to look at the other stats to go along with what he did. So you know that I do deeper dives, sometimes more than most people. I come with these crazy stats that I always have since I started this channel. I've been a little lazy lately on getting videos out, just simply no excuse. Just been lazy. Not enough time in my day, whatever it is. But can anyone really name right now? This is a question for you. In the comments later, the chat right now, can you name another player? Let me think about this for a second. Can you name another top-tier defensive end coming out of college that had similar stats, traits, style, size, speed that Shamar Stewart does coming out of his final season? Anyone. Just any other player that is right now a top-tier athlete in the NFL, top-tier defensive end. Because I'm going to tell you that there's one, for sure. There's one. And I'm wondering if any of you out there have actually done your homework. I'm going to let that marinate for just a second, and I'm going to come back to it. Let me tell you a little bit about Shamar Stewart. He was named to the SEC All-Freshman team in 2022 and a third-team All-SEC last season. He's definitely a high upside prospect, right? He's seen as having all the physical tools. I mean, he completely blew away the combine, but they haven't really translated, they being his tools, if you will, translated to pass rush production for sacks, maybe as expected. And there's a litany of things that we can talk about. Some things that I've already mentioned as to the reason why. Was he in on all the pass rushing downs? Nope, he wasn't. Matter of fact, he was in on less than 75% of them. Did he play all of the snaps with the Aggies last year? Nope. Was he a starter last year? Yes, that was his first year where he was getting starting opportunities. Did he play in all the games? Yes, very durable. But the question is why? Well, here's why. He did become a full starter until last season as a junior. He slimmed down from 281 pounds at the Senior Bowl to an ultra lean 267 pounds at the Scouting Combine. He ran a very impressive 4.59 40-yard dash with a 40-inch vertical and a 131-inch broad jump. I mean, both of those were among the best, if not the best, in the positional group that day. These are elite athletic traits. And by the way, his APE index is 1.10, huge wingspan, long arms, everything that you want in a prospect he has. And that wingspan means that he can go back up in weight. The 281 pounds that he was carrying throughout the season, that's not all he can carry. And he carried it well. He can carry that and more. Now you combine all of this, like I said, with an 84 3/4 inch wingspan, very solid in run defense. Yeah, he missed a few tackles. Again, that's technique, things that can be taught, right? You can't teach speed. You can't teach a guy to jump. You can't teach those things. He has it. You can't teach a guy to be long. He has all of the things that you want. The question is whether and when the pass rush potential can be untapped in such a raw prospect, young prospect, physical specimen, freaks list. The guy is incredible. He absolutely is. Again, I will use the term raw. He was also an All-SEC third team honors as a junior when he led the Aggies. Get this, 7 quarterback hurries. He only accumulated 5.5 tackles for loss, but at 6'5", 281 pounds during the season, he definitely proved to be remarkably durable throughout his collegiate career. He appeared in 37 games across 3 seasons. His presence was obviously felt in 2024, particularly when he racked up 39 total pressures on 315 pass rush snaps. According to PFF, I probably should have done this, but let's just go ahead and divide these snaps up real quick. So if he had 39 total pressures and 315 pass rush snaps, what is he winning at? What's his win rate? 12.4%. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good, though. Very disruptive. NFL scouts are drooling over this guy at the combine. Historic combine performance. Some of his strengths. He's not just a workout warrior, right? This guy brings absurd get off the line. His acceleration, his raw speed, from every stance. He can play everywhere across the defensive line. He flashes an incredible amount of pocket collapsing ability, long arm, stab arm, two-handed bull rush. He has it all. Generational lateral explosiveness. I don't like to use the G word often, but he is a generational talent. I mocked him as the next Myles Garrett. Others have mocked him as somebody else, but I'm also going to give you that name here pretty soon. And I haven't checked the chat out, but we'll see if any of you got it right. Versatile as a stunt weapon. He has the ability to shrug off punches, modest success on a two-hand chop, but he has the ability to add more, right? And as you get ingrained into these professional defensive line groups, right, where you've got amazing teachers, he's going to excel quickly. He plays with competitive fire. His motor is always going, but his raw size, it makes him nearly impossible for tackles to displace and lock up at the line of scrimmage, where he can get long and get around you. Some say he doesn't have good bend. I see great bend. And I think that it was more evidenced at his pro day. He absolutely has good bend. His ankle flexion, maybe not the greatest, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist, because you watch plenty of tape where it does. He's twitchy. The guy's super twitchy, and he dominates when he has the ability, an opportunity to get after the passer. He dominates. Here's the final thing that I'm going to throw at you. There is an NFL elite defensive end right now that you could definitely comp Shamar Stewart to. Now, this guy only had 1.5 sacks in his final season at LSU, 2 hurries, and 14 pressures. Now, you would have thought by looking at those numbers that he's a 4th-round draft pick. He's going to be a bust, right? Because if that's what you're saying about Shemar, then you have to say that same exact thing about this guy. Worse stats than what Shemar had. He also had 690 snaps that year. So this guy, let me recap it. 1.5 sacks, 2 hurries, 14 pressures, 690 defensive snaps. Shamar Stewart, on the other hand, only 521 snaps, 33 hurries, 39 total pressures, 1.5 sacks, 170 less snaps than the other guy. Does anybody know who I'm talking about yet? Has anyone put it in the chat? Well, let me show you who this guy is. Let me just show you. Oh my goodness. Mr. Danielle Hunter. No, it can't be. Yep, it certainly can be. There's his stats, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. 1.5 sacks. 1 forced fumble. Well, my goodness. There's no way that Shamar Stewart can be an absolutely incredible football player, can he? Y'all know that I'm going to bring it. And if I have to defend somebody, if I have to defend a prospect, I hope that y'all just go a little bit deeper than look at all this surface level stuff. This is what I'm good at here. I try to find really good football players. Yep, we're not going to hit on every single one. So to compare Danielle Hunter to Shamar Stewart in their final season at their college level, Danielle Hunter, 1.5 sacks. Shamar Stewart, 1.5 sacks. Danielle Hunter, 2 hurries. Shamar Stewart, 33 quarterback hurries. Danielle Hunter, 14 pressures. Shamar Stewart, 39. All on 170 less snaps than Danielle Hunter. You can absolutely mock Danielle Hunter and Shamar Stewart in the same boat. Same category of football player, very similar size, height, weight, speed, everything. Danielle Hunter was also a freak coming out of college. I rest my case. Shamar Stewart is absolutely going to be a wrecking ball in the NFL. Yup, he might take a season or two, just like every other athlete tends to do. Beyond 2 years, I'm expecting Shamar Stewart is going to be a top-tier athlete, top-tier defensive end in the NFL in short order. And I've been criticized for saying that. That's my forecast. Why? Because I've seen it done before. He may not come out and have 10 sacks in his rookie season. We don't need that. No team really needs that. They need a competent football player that knows what he's doing. That's what they need. They need a guy that's improving each and every single day that he wakes up. That's what they need. An unselfish football player that fits the mold of the team. Everything else can be taught because he has everything else from a physical standpoint. So, for all of you that doubt Shamar Stewart, there's your proof. Again, I rest my case.